If every crisis moves decisions back to the founder, the team never builds crisis competence. The company becomes calm only when the founder is active. And that's dependence.
Welcome back to the show. Bernd, today I want to talk about something that I think every founder experiences. They decide to change, they delegate more, they define roles, then try to step out of the daily operations. That's our dream, right? And then pressure hits. A customer escalates a problem, a key employee makes a mistake, a project runs late. Suddenly, the founder is back in hero mode firefighting. They jump in, fix it, decide it, control it. And afterwards, they feel frustrated because they thought they were past that stage. So today, I want to talk about relapse, why founders fall back into old patterns, why that does not mean the change has failed, and how founders can recognize the warning signs early enough to respond differently. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Why do founders fall back into hero mode even after they decided to change?
Yeah, I think it's important to say that this will happen. If you are in a change process and you don't want to fall back into your hero mode, it will happen. Just be aware of it. That's something I'd like to say before that. Why does it happen? Well, because old patterns are efficient under pressure. If you are under pressure, it is tough sometimes. And the hero mode is familiar. The founder knows how to fix the problem. The founder knows how to get fast relief of the problems. The founder knows that how to make the customers happy. He built the company, he knows everything. And then the team is relieved. So the short-term reward is very strong for the founder. That's the critical part here. And the long-term cost is hidden. Each time the founder jumps back in, the organization learns that difficult issues still belong to the founder. And that's why relapse is so common. The old pattern works today and damages tomorrow.
So true. What triggers the relapse so we can kind of keep an eye out for that?
Yeah, I think the main trigger is pressure, the operational pressure. Something happens that may be pressure from customers, pressure from cash flow problems, pressure from deadlines or from mistakes. And that is the main one. The second one is some kind of discomfort. That's a trigger. The founder sees an employee handle a task differently and feels the urge to correct it. It's his company. Normally we are not doing this. I would do it totally differently. That's the problem. Another trigger is success. When the business improves, founders often become less disciplined because the pain is quieter. And then the old calendar returns. Old customer habits return and old decision patterns return. So relapse usually starts before the founder recognizes it.
So let's think about that for a little bit. Why does a crisis make the old founder behavior feel so reasonable?
Well, because in a crisis, the founder's competence is immediately useful. That was in the past why he was successful. As I said, the founder knows the customers best. The founder know the technical details. The founder know the history. The founder can decide faster than anyone else. So hero behavior feels responsible, but the question is much larger. What does this teach the organization? If every crisis moves decisions back to the founder, the team never builds crisis competence. The company becomes calm only when the founder is active. And that's dependence.
So that's really interesting the way you phrased that about crisis competence, to have the company, the team have competence when the inevitable crisis is going to happen. So
And
what
by the
are
way,
some of
you have crisis all the time, smaller, bigger crisis. That's why you may even not recognize it in the first moment because you're used to work in that kind of crisis.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the clearest early warning signs that a founder is slipping back into their old habits?
Well, there are several. First, the founder does something 3 times in a week that has already been delegated. Second, the founder's calendar becomes fuller again. He worked on that. It was great over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and now suddenly the calendar becomes fuller and fuller. And third, and that's a one I can see very often, the one-on-one meetings are moved or cancelled because of urgent work. Another one may be employees bring more questions upward that they could decide within their role. And if the founder then says, okay, I take that, this kind of redelegation, that's also a sign. If you take the work back, which you already delegated. And another one would be the founder notices private stress signals with himself. So poor sleep, constant phone checking, or the sense that everything again depends on them. I know that very nicely because that's precisely what happened several times to me. So one signal there might be an exception, but if there is a pattern, that should be a warning.
So you mentioned the calendar as a warning signal. What does the calendar reveal?
The calendar shows the truth, unfortunately, and that's the truth behind the intention. A founder may say they are working on the business, but the calendar may show operational meetings all over, customer escalations, approvals, problem solvings. When the founder's calendar fills with tasks that belong to managers or employees, the system is drifting back. And that does not happen randomly. It means the founder has lost the discipline to choose. The calendar is one of the most honest diagnostic tools because it records behavior, not self-image. Before we continue, a quick question. Do you actually know how dependent your business is on you right now? Most founders have a gut feeling. They know too much runs through them, but they don't have a clear picture. Where exactly are they the bottleneck? And what would be the next logical step? And that's exactly why I created the Owner Independence Check. It's 16 simple questions. Takes about 5 minutes, and it shows you in a very concrete way where your business stands across 5 critical areas, from your own leadership to structure, strategy, and your team. At the end, you'll get a personalized result. Not just a score, but a clear assessment of where you are today and what you should focus on next. The check is free, takes less than 5 minutes, and you'll find the link in the show notes.
The other thing you mentioned, one of the several, was canceled one-on-one meetings. How is that a danger signal?
Very often, the one-on-ones are the first routine sacrificed when pressure rises. And that's dangerous because they are stabilizing routines. If you do your one-on-ones with your direct reports, you get to know problems early. You create clarity. You help managers to grow. All of that, of course, are very often things. If you say, okay, I have the one-on-one, you have the feeling I don't need to do that now because yes, it is important, but it's not urgent. And that's the critical part here. When a founder cancels these kind of one-on-ones to solve urgent issues, then they remove the very routine they would reduce future urgency. That's the problem here. The pattern is easy to justify in the moment because it's urgent. We need to do that. The customer just called or something like that. But after a few weeks, the founder has more operational issues. The founder has weaker alignment with his direct reports. And by that, over time, less trust. That's how the old system returns.
Those old habits come crashing back.
Exactly.
What role does the team play in pulling the founder back into the old system?
Well, normally they don't do that by purpose, but the team often has learned the old system for years. When there are difficult decisions to be made, people may still go to the founder. And when a customer calls the founder directly, the founder may still answer. When a manager is unsure, they still may ask upward. And that's normal. That's a normal behavior because the organization has been trained that way for years. So founder independence requires 2 changes at the same time. The team must learn new decision behavior, and the founder must stop rewarding the old behavior. If the founder answers every escalated question the old way, then the old system remains stronger than any new structure, and he will fail.
So, as the founder, how should a founder respond after they realize that they've relapsed?
I believe, as I said before, it will happen. So don't be ashamed of it. First of all, the founder should name the relapse without drama. Something like, I took this back, also it was delegated. Then they should repair the structure. Who owns this decision? What boundary was unclear? Where did I intervene too early? And the worst reaction is shame, that followed by silence. The better reaction here on this part is operational correction. Just accept it and correct it. Relapse gives useful data, on the other hand. It shows where the new system was still too weak for you. So what do you need to change?
So, thinking through that a little bit more, how can a founder build a relapse plan before pressure hits?
What the founder can do is to identify the predictable triggers in advance. I give you an example. When a key customer escalates, I will not take the decision immediately. I will involve the responsible manager first. Or when a delegated task looks imperfect, I will ask about the expected result before correcting the method. Or when the calendar fills up, I will cancel operational involvement before canceling one-on-ones. And that's a very important one in my opinion. So a relapse plan is simple. It defines the moment when the founder is most likely to fall back and the alternative behavior they will use.
Wow, pretty insightful. So, final question for today. What is one practical exercise for founders listening right now?
Just sit down and take the last 2 weeks and write down 3 moments when you stepped back into this hero mode. And for each of these moments, ask what triggered me there. What exactly did I do? And what did the team learn from my behavior? What structural rules should or would have helped? And that exercise, I know it's uncomfortable, but it turns relapse into information and learning. And once a founder sees the pattern, they can design a better response for the next pressure moment. I think that's the main part we can learn here.
Awesome nuggets for today. So let me kind of tease out the key message. Relapse is part of the founder independence journey. When pressure rises, the old hero pattern feels familiar and useful. The founder jumps in, fixes things, and unintentionally teaches the organization to wait again. That makes early warning signals essential. A fuller calendar, delegated tasks returning to the founder, one-on-ones being canceled, more questions traveling upward. Those signals show that the old system is trying to return. A founder who plans for relapse has a much better chance of staying on course.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Brian. Before you go, would your business still run if you stepped away for 3 months? If you're not sure, find out with the free owner independence check. You'll get a clear result and practical insights on where your business still depends on you and what to do about it. It takes about 5 minutes. It's completely free, and you'll find the link in the show notes.